please go and check out my Telegram channel. The link is below because that's where you're going to be able to get all the extra detail that you can't get here. I'll see you there. Hello, gorgeous, wonderful starseeds and lightworkers. Just before we get on to the astrology of what May is going to deliver to us, I just want to have a quick recap because we had some of the biggest solar flare activity, CMEs and coronal mass ejections since 2012 and before. We had a massive X-class flare, we had a KP7, and April energetically was about a light endurance. It was absolutely incredible. And now, going into May, we have had the incredibly rare Venus-Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. So this is a time of incredible expansion. The seeds that you're going to sow at this moment in time are really going to bring fruits later on down in the summer and later on. So be really conscious of what you're creating and what you're putting out there really now, because it really is a time of massive creative expansion. But the seeds that you're creating now, really important to remember that. And beyond all of that, we now go into a very powerful season, eclipse season. And May is going to be the kind of in-between month where we face a lot of shadow and there's going to be a lot of ups and downs and changes. But let's have a look at the astrology. We are looking at a total solar eclipse in Scorpio, and it's building already, and it's going to lead us, this energy, into the next few months, but especially in May. And we have a long Mercury retrograde that's going to be coming in midway through May, lasting for some time as well. So if you are in the lower densities, and you're not in your power, that will affect you. But if you are balanced, you're going to fly through and it won't affect you at all. And I want to go into even more depth. I was touching this with Nick Veniamin on my previous video, but even more depth. I want to use the analogy again. April was like charging a massive bottle of fizzy Coca-Cola, and all the density is fizzing to the top, but it's got to pop out somewhere, and there's going to be an in-between month of shadow, and we are in that in-between month now of May, and people are going to be feeling a lot of shadow seemingly coming out of nowhere and not understanding, why do I feel down? Why do I feel depressed? Why do I feel tired? Why do I feel sluggish? And it's a very dreamy, floaty sort of state on top of that as well, as the next month after this will be much lighter. But what we're going to be dealing with is the wounded child also. You're going to see a lot of adults freaking out because the ego is so out of control in the month of May that you're going to see adults having tantrums, and you're seeing it in the truth community, and you're seeing it even in some spiritual forums and the information wars, people battling with their information, not realizing that actually it's all just a part of the collective. On top of that, we've had 2 years worth of promises, people saying this would happen, the RV would happen, we'd have aliens, ET landing, had disclosure, all these things, and people are feeling a little bit edgy and uptight, and all of that's going to come up in May. But I really want to give you a tool. It's really not really important, all the information that you're getting, all the external information. Actually, it's all totally irrelevant. The only information, and especially in May, that's going to be relevant is the inner information, the inner understanding that you're getting from your higher self. Because as you go into your shadow, that's where more talents, more clear abilities come up. Not necessarily always in the light. That's when you're playing externally and connecting to the external, the inner. You get more from the shadow. And that's why it can be a beautiful thing. Look at some of the most beautiful songs ever written, some of the most beautiful artwork. The shadow can be a very beautiful place, but starseeds and lightworkers don't like it because they don't like walking through the records. They don't like lifting densities, and it's hard work, but that's where the juice is. That's where the magic is. And we've been living in an inverted matrix where it's wrong to go into your shadow. And you have to be medicated, and you're not allowed to talk about it. So all the light workers conquered and divided, and they go through it alone, and they're segregated because that's in an old energy. That's how an old energy won. So now's a beautiful time to be talking about your shadow, calling up your 5D friends in May and going, my God, I'm freaking out. My ego's out of control. I've got the wounded child coming up. I feel like I'm turning dark. I feel like I'm having an identity crisis, and some people will feel like they're having another identity crisis because we're going through layers. And in April, you were filled up with all of this light. You felt like you knew who you were. And now in May, you're going to be purging all over again. So it's constantly changing. So as you walk in your sitting room, living room or lounge, whatever you want to call it, depending where you are, you're walking in, the furniture's always changing. So you've got to be in flow state. You've got to be in neutrality, and you've got to be balanced. And those that aren't will be fighting each other, will be battling each other. And I've seen it already in some of the YouTuber people. I've heard some unbelievable stories recently from some massive YouTuber friends of mine. So it's happening everywhere. And I just want to go through a little list of things that you may experience in May. And one massive piece of advice I've got for you: do not attach emotion to it. Do not attach an emotional emotion to some of these things that you might go through in May. Do not personalize walking through the records. Do not personalize lifting density. This is not you. This is not who you are. It's just coming up so you can see it, feel it, and transmute it. So here are some things you may feel in May. It already started for the sensitives when we had a massive timeline jump and timeline glitches and matrix glitches 9th of April. And more people are feeling it in the collective now. So here are some of the things. Feeling tired. Identity crisis created by more density being pushed out that you thought you already had under control now, but you feel like an even different person, even more going into May. Am I going crazy? A floaty, drowsy feeling even more exhausted. Even more people falling away from your groups and your friendships. People falling away, feeling very irritable. Old wounds returning, erratic dreams. And even more than ever, we're going to be seeing old jobs don't resonate with me. I don't want to work in this business anymore. I don't want this job, and I don't want to be doing this thing anymore. And for some people, it's going to be even deeper. It's I don't want this family set up anymore. And it's going to be really coming up in May, and it could be tough. But there's beauty in that, because in the shadow is where we do massive evolution. And you're not going to be able to think your way out of this. You're not going to be able to, as some people say, high vibe your way out of May. Because if you just try to work even more and just cover it up with even more work or even more playtime or another bottle of wine or another chocolate bar, it will linger and it will get worse. So you must accept it, play with the shadow, allow it to come through and see what emotions and what talents, clair abilities, intuition, psychic abilities come up. Because in the inverted matrix, you weren't allowed to feel. You were told it was wrong. Now your shadow's coming up and you're really going to feel. And when you are feeling, that's when you're going to be able to get your intuition working. And it may not feel nice, but the lobster has to push off and shed its skin, and it's suffocating in order to get out. And there is a little bit of pressure. It's like when you're creating a diamond with heat and pressure. And that's what May's going to feel like. It's going to feel intense. But if you allow it and you don't fight it, a bit like an illness, like flu, when you give in to it, that's where the beauty starts to magic up all around you. And you need to forget about the external in May and the truth wars and what other people are saying. Because even to some extent, big picture, even this video is irrelevant. What is really irrelevant is your own inner truths. So that's super important in the month of May. Let's have a look at some more. And because May is going to be intense, some of you are going to feel like, oh my God, I'm coming down with something. I'm getting ill. I'm getting physically ill. You're not. The body is purging. It is purging a lot of shadow that the light in April is now forcing out because you are upgrading. Actually, it's going to feel like April was the biggest upgrade month, but actually it's May. May is going to be much bigger, especially with some of the astrology that I just went through at this moment in time. Alexander Quinn, how do I get through it? How do I do it? How do I go in flow state? Well, it's a bit like when you get a cold. You don't judge it. You know it's going to pass, and you don't make attachments to it. And you don't fight it. It's the same. Don't judge some of the shadow that's going to come up. It's not who you are. You're just walking through the records. And don't judge others either, because the wounded child is going to be coming up in adults at this moment, and their ego will kick in and some people will start freaking out. So just relax into it. This is where you're really going to see the star seeds and light workers who have got their SHIT together, because they're going to be calm, they're going to be balanced, they're going to have a good, happy countenance that does not judge themselves or others. That is a real mastery point in May. The light workers and the star seeds who do not have it together are going to be triggered. They're going to be judgmental to themselves and others, and there will be blame, a lot of blame and light worker hunters. And it's because of the intense eclipse season, especially in Scorpio. So the dark coming out in the collective, the density coming out in us, and just allow it to pass like a cold or little illness that you get, because you know it's going to go in anyway, and give in to it. The harder you fight the month of May, the longer the residual energies of it will stay. And on a solar energy point axis, we're not going to be getting these massive peaks like we did in April, but we are going to get a flat line residual level of a different type of energy coming in that won't stop. Next month will feel lighter, okay? So you guys are doing an amazing effort. You're going to be absolutely fine. And I've got some more amazing interviews coming up. I'm going to be doing something again with Linda at some point. And I love you. And if you need me, just send me an email. Much love. And God bless. We are on the path, majorly on the path now. Love you.